Capital Record, where we defend free enterprise and capital markets because we believe in the dignity of the human person. Hello, welcome to David Bonson's Capital Record, brought to you by National Review. I have calmed down since my episode the other day where I had to let loose a little bit on some economic ignorance that bothered me regarding private equity and housing. And now today I'm going to produce a much more judicious, sober-minded, calm, but equally emphatic critique of something. And like my inspiration for the other day's episode, this was also inspired by a post from likely, hopefully well-meaning folks. I think in this case, there's something much more sympathetic about it than what I was going after the other day. If you did miss the episode the other day, please check that out. But I want to read you something all the way through, and I want to allow that to inspire my commentary today on something that I think is unbelievably important in the way we think about our business endeavors, and particularly those who approach this, as I do, with what I call a kingdom mindset. That is something connected to theological commitments and understanding of transcendent truth, something connected to our faith not being highly privatized, but the way we live that out in the economic realm, the way we live it out in the public square. And there is a group now, first of all, I'll say, much like this young man, or I assume young man, when their name was, what was it? Pro-life Spider-Man or something like that. When there's that kind of a pseudonym on social media, I guess I shouldn't guess what the gender is. Although Spider-Man would be man, wouldn't it? Although, do we even know that anymore? Well, this is an entity that I do not have familiarity with, but I know very well the space that they're in. The name of the group is called The Signatory, and it appears to be a faith-oriented group that their kind of product, if you will, is what's called a donor-advised fund. It's something that I work with very heavily, not through this outfit, but through some others as it's a strategy that people will use in their own charitable giving. Has certain tax advantages. I use one personally for my own philanthropic endeavors, and we utilize them and manage them, as a matter of fact, on behalf of clients in my firm quite heavily. The Signatory is not a donor advised fund or outfit I was familiar with, but this thinking, this mentality is something I'm very familiar with. And there are people who I believe could say something like what I'm about to read that I do not think would be talking in good faith. But I strongly suspect these guys are. So that's the part I want to say from the get-go. I'm going to be very critical here in a moment, but I don't necessarily think I'm criticizing bad intention, but rather a bad understanding of something that becomes very, very relevant to the way we think about the free and virtuous society, and in fact, something that's actually much deeper in terms of our own theological, philosophical, and ontological commitments. Quote, there are a lot of entrepreneurs that think that their business is their legacy, but once they get into the giving world, it's their philanthropy that becomes their legacy. It goes on, when the blank family, I'm not going to say their name. Now, they already put it out, the name of the family, in a public post, so there's no reason I'm not going to, but I just don't want the family associated with the critique I'm about to offer. When this family was preparing to sell the majority of their business, they didn't want to plan for just a financial transaction. They set the stage for a legacy of generosity. By gifting privately held stock to a donor advised fund, they reduced their tax bill, created a fund that will advance world changing work for generations. This journey has redefined their perspective on legacy, shifting the focus from business success to lasting kingdom impact. Discover how strategic generosity can change everything at this link. My friends, pitting business success from lasting kingdom impact is dualism run amok. It is Gnostic heresy run amok. It is a sacred secular distinction that is an overt denial of the Protestant concept of priesthood of all believers, but also an overt denial of Catholic social thought around the idea that these business successes indeed matter and that they are themselves lasting kingdom impact. I have no critique over the potential tax advantages, estate advantages, and philanthropic endeavor behind gifting closely held businesses into donor advised fund or other charitable vehicles. And there are knobs one turns up and down to affect an optimal transaction in tax planning, charitable leverage, all of those things. For all I know, the work done here consultatively with this particular family and client was optimal in that sense. No problem. I'm not talking about that. I'm a big fan of one participating in various charitable endeavor. What I'm not a fan of is that one is moving in doing such from the business side to the legacy, from a kind of transactional, corporate, commercial success to the realm of real service. That's just not true. What one does in their commercial endeavor is service to others, or it isn't a commercial endeavor worth talking about. Now, if what they mean is so and so family has been doing a very evil thing, ripping people off, fraud and corruption, and they've made a bunch of money from it, and now they have a chance to stop that bad stuff, and they're going to move the money into a charitable endeavor that's going to be much better for their legacy. If that's what they mean, I would like to point out that the charitable endeavor will be funded by blood money and by a criminal enterprise. I don't think anyone is saying that, and I don't think anyone would advocate funding charity out of sources that were rooted to criminality. What they mean is that there is some superior endeavor in philanthropy that becomes a legacy. But I will tell you that any philanthropy funded by business, which is all philanthropy, is funded by the endeavors, by the commercial endeavors of human action. When we say that the philanthropy becomes our legacy, all we are doing is dressing up the truth, which is that the commercial endeavor was the legacy. The actual source of the funds came from one having a giftedness, an ability in the marketplace to generate profits, to generate growth, to service others with the production of goods and services. So it is not just a theological error to pit the commercial endeavor against legacy and some transcendent focus of kingdom impact. It is not just dualistic and a false dilemma, an inaccurate binary. It's not just all of those things, but it is those things. But it fundamentally misunderstands the way economics work. The only way they could have been successful in the business is to be producing goods and services that meet the needs of others. Now, after doing that, one may say out of their own life objectives, I would like to sell this business, or I would like to do a partial sale, or I would like to transition into some other philanthropic things. And by doing a donor advised fund transaction or a charitable gift or whatever the specifics are, it's going to give me some leverage and some liquidity and some tax advantage to go do it at a higher level. And that could be not a great thing to do. It could be a wonderful thing to do. You know, there's people like Elon Musk out there before they were world famous in the political Doge Trump moment. They were world famous in Tesla, SpaceX, PayPal, and others, Twitter, etc. That, you know, I have a little sympathy for Musk's view, which is essentially says that he views charity to be BS for him, because he wanted to go defend free speech And buying Twitter, a commercial for-profit endeavor for $44 billion was probably a better way to do that than give $1 billion to some free speech nonprofit that could never in a gazillion years spend even 10% of that money very well. He wanted to do what he believed to be, advance the cause of a cleaner environment. So he created the most successful electric vehicle company of all time. He wants to navigate Mars. So he created the space travel. So all in the for-profit side, you could argue there's been a lot more needle moving for the giftedness of Musk in the for-profit sector than he could ever come up with in a 501c3. But my point is, there are some that want to be in the charitable endeavor, and I have no problem with it. And of course, for most, I do not understand it being one or the other. I believe I'm at my most useful self to the kingdom when I'm running the business that I think I'm pretty good at running. And out of the fruits of that business, I can be charitable. And by the way, I prefer to be more quiet about it. There seems to be a verse on that than posting to social media the merits of certain things. But my point being, there's room for significant funding of causes and things I believe in. And of course, not to mention the fact that I happen to be a wealth management professional by trade, doing so with tax and estate and legal and philanthropic leverage and efficiency, you would assume would be part of the deal. The point I bring up, though, is whether one wants to be all in on serving humanity with their for-profit enterprise, or all in by serving humanity with a not-for-profit enterprise, or all in on the one leading to the other and doing both, pitting the two against each other and shifting the focus from business success to a lasting kingdom impact. That is a language that is just wholly unhelpful. And I'm spelling wholly WHOLLY. It's unhelpful, it's inaccurate. There is tremendous and lasting kingdom impact in our commercial endeavors, in our businesses. And if there wasn't, all we're talking about is essentially ends justify the means stuff of we're going to go do crass things now, make a buck, but then don't worry, we'll go whitewash it. We're going to sacralize the bad activity with some charitable giving later. We're going to do penance. No, my friends, no one needs to do penance for their business activities. Their business activities are lasting kingdom impact, building technology, agricultural products, educational endeavors, building an entrepreneurial project that sometimes fails, sometimes succeeds. That is not only stuff that leads to charity, which leads to kingdom impact, as if the business endeavor is just a tactic for fundraising. It is itself kingdom impact. It is itself the kingdom of God. It is itself something that matters to the heavens and this earth. And I will say that we do not get economics right if we don't get this point right. The view of economics that we do commercial endeavors just to get to more important things misses the point of those commercial endeavors that in themselves possess an errant meaning, because it is human beings who matter doing work and endeavor for other human beings that matter. And in that transitive activity that we call work, that we call trade, that we call production, that we exchange, that we build, in these endeavors, we are doing lasting, meaningful legacy work. And if on the other side of that, it generates profits and liquidity and opportunity for more charitable work and contribution, no one's against it. Not the good folks at Signatory, not the good folks at other donor advised funds, not the people that have my view of a free and virtuous society. But what I cannot believe let me put it this way. What I will never advocate is pitting the one against the other. It isn't true. We must defend the free and virtuous society, inclusive of the commercial endeavors that fund nonprofit activity, inclusive of nonprofit activity, but fundamentally understanding the commercial activity for what it is, lasting legacy work that matters. Thank you for listening to David Bahnsen's Capital Record. Look forward to being with you another episode next week. Take care.